We're live, and straight away we are just looking at what's going on with MULN. It is down 8.95% in this session of the 27th of June 2022. Let's see whether there's any news concerning MULN. It's usually the litigations and all that stuff they want to bring against the company. Okay, 34.452 million shares have crossed the tape. We're still maintaining our target of the $3.3 for MULN. So coming back to review what's going on broadly in the markets. We can see that it's saying here on this readout from Reuters that new orders for US made capital goods and shipments increased solidly in May, pointing to sustained strength in business spending on equipment in the second quarter, but rising rates and tighter financial conditions could slow momentum. The nearly broad rise in orders reported by the US Commerce Department on Monday, that's today the 27th, occurred despite deteriorating business and consumer sentiment across, as well as heightened fears of recession. The gains partly reflected higher rises. The Federal Reserve is aggressively tightening monetary policy to quell inflation. There's some inflation behind the increase in orders, but nevertheless, there are lots of dollars flowing through the economy right now, said Christopher Robke, chief economist at Ford Bonds in New York. Business will not order new equipment if they thought consumers and other companies were looking to pull back their purchases. Orders for non-defense capital goods, excluding aircraft, a closely watched proxy for business spending plans, rose 0.5% last month. The so-called core capital goods orders gained 0.3% in April. Economists polled by Reuters had forecast core capital goods orders would climb 0.3%, 0.03%. So 0.3%. Those orders were up 10.2% on a year-on-year basis in May. Last month's increase reflected a 1.1% rise in machinery orders. There was also strong demand for primary metals as well as computers and electronic products, but orders for electrical equipment, appliances and components fell 0.9%, while demand for fabricated metal products wasn't changed. The better than expected increase in core capital goods orders underscored underlying strength in manufacturing, which accounts for 12% of the US economy, despite weak factory surveys. A survey from S&P Global last week showed business confidence dove in June to the lowest level since September 2020. Demand for goods remains strong, even as spending is reverting back to services. Production also continues to be underpinned by businesses still rebuilding inventories, even as some major retailers like Walmart and Target have reported that they are carrying too much merchandise. We've seen two of the largest inventory builds on record in the past 2 quarters, but taken in the context of solid sales, inventories are not yet at a concerning level in the view of Tim Quinlan, a senior economist at Wells Fargo in Charlotte, North Carolina. They take the rebuild in inventories as a signal that supply chain problems are slowly easing. Stocks on Wall Street are currently mixed. Let's see what's going on there. Is it actually mixed? Yes, it is mixed. The Dow Jones is up 0.15, the Nasdaq is down 0.37, S&P 500 is up 0.1%. That's the fact. The dollar fell against the basket of currencies. US Treasury yields rose. And coming back to the theme of strong shipments, core capital goods shipments increased 0.8% last month, matching April's gains. Core capital goods shipments are used to calculate equipment spending in the gross GDP measurement. Despite some boost from higher prices, shipments still showed a strength more after adjusting for inflation. Business spending on equipment is on track to grow again this quarter, though at a slower pace than the 13.2% annualized rate notched in January to in the first quarter of this year 2022. Robust investment in equipment helped to sustain strong domestic demand in the first quarter, even as the economy contracted at a 1.5% rate, hit by a record trade deficit. Growth estimates for the second quarter range from a slow 0.3% rate to as high as a 2.9% pace. The Fed this month raised its policy rate by 0.75 percentage point, its biggest hike since 1994. The US Central Bank has increased its benchmark overnight interest rate by 150 basis points since March. So let's pay some bills here. The unexpected strength wouldn't change anything for monetary policy except perhaps making the Fed just a smidgen more comfortable with their next rate hike decision, according to Will Compano, a senior economist at FHN Financial in New York. Orders for durable goods, items ranging from toasters to aircraft that are meant to last 3 years or more, advanced 0.7% in May after rising 0.4% in April. They were lifted by a 0.8% gain in orders for transportation equipment, which followed a 0.7% increase in April. Motor vehicle orders climbed 0.5% after edging up 0.1% in April. Orders for the volatile civilian aircraft category fell 1.1%. Boeing reported on its website that it had received 23 aircraft orders in May, down from 46 in April. Shipments of durable goods jumped 1.3% last month after gaining 0.3% in April. On-field durable goods orders rose 0.3% and inventories increased 0.6%. While manufacturing is showing resilience, higher borrowing costs are cooling the housing market. A separate report on Monday from the National Association of Realtors showed its pending home sales index, based on signed contracts, rose 0.7% last month. The increase, however, only reversed a tiny portion of the prior 6 months decline, leaving contacts down 13.6% on a year-on-year basis. Higher rates have been weighing significantly on the housing market and will continue to do so in the immediate future, according to Daniel Silva, an economist at JP Morgan in New York. Okay, let's return and see what's going on with MULN. It is down, has dropped a lot further again, down 9.25%, but momentum seems to be improving. Okay, let's look at IMPP. IMPP is up 1.84%. At some point, how many? Let's see. At some point, at exactly an hour and 30 minutes into the session, it spiked to $0.55 and has since started to move sideways or cool off from that spike. Momentum is still very strong based on what is going on this 1 minute live session for IMPP. Let's get the news. There isn't any news. Let's get the volumes. 23.276 million shares across the tape. And IMPP is not. It's well. Okay. It straddles that energy sector very well. It transports energy, and also, since it transports crude, so it's associated with energy. In a balanced way. Transports it, and so. But at the same time, if you are trading IMPP because of energy, what they're saying now is that the trade on energy has passed away. People are still very much optimistic, but the way based on how things are at the moment, because of the impending impending recession, people are expecting inflation. It is affecting the price of crude, and even regardless, IMPP is still going to do well. So it's a good stock to watch. Whether it cools off or not, people are still. IMPP is still going to be in business. It has nothing to do really as such with the price of their business. Has not a lot to do with the price of crude or probably natural gas. It does, because if it's doing well, the oil firms will probably sell more, or probably will be much more willing to spend more. But in any case, it's not really a major factor. I think it's not really a major factor. So either way, IMPP is going to continue to do business. But I have not really done a fully fledged due diligence on IMPP, but the fact that I know, the fact that it is doing, the fact that it is involved in crude oil and natural gas transportation is really good, because as I said earlier on, regardless of what's going on, they will still be in business. So let's quickly have a look and see what's going on with crude. Crude is up 1.38% in this session. So let's move on and see what's going on with AFIB. AFIB is Acutus Medical Inc. up 93.92% roughly. Okay, so the highest it reached was in the pre-market session, 1.2376. Let's see whether we can get any news concerning the stock. Okay, shares of Acutus Medical more than doubled to $1.13, or even more now, set for the biggest monthly gain ever. AFIB says it's commercially launching another device to access the left side of the heart in the United States. Medical device maker says it received FDA clearance for the ACQ cross QS system meant to reduce exchanges of wires and needles while trying to cross the heart wall to access the left side. The clearance expands AFIB's portfolio of products used in left heart procedures, the company says. AFIB in April entered into an agreement to sell its left heart access portfolio, including its ACQ cross line of catheters, to larger rival Medtronic. MGT shares also gained 0.7%, but AFIB shares are down 67% year to date. Okay, that sounds really good. That news sounds really good. So let's get the volumes. 107.68 million shares have crossed the tape. It's a penny stock that is optionable. Momentum is still holding up. Okay, let's look at NRSN. Before we do that, let us pay some bills. NRSN. Okay, NRSN Therapeutics up 52.94%. Let's see whether we can get any news. Okay. Earlier in this session, the company disclosed that, or rather, earlier in the session, its shares were up about 93%, so it has lost about 40%. It rose 93% to a near 3-month high of $3.28 in early trade. Now up about 50 something percent. The company's lead drug candidate Prime C showed statistically significant decline in key biomarkers of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS, a neurodegenerative disease, in a multi-stage study. The company said the study results further confirmed ALS drugs mechanism of action. The company's CEO Alon Ben-Nun says the new data will help in optimization of late-stage study of Prime C in ALS. Session gains help the stock recover from losses in the year. Stock is up 16% year to date. So the volume for this session is 73.614 million shares and counting. NRSN Therapeutics, it gained as much as 93% at some point, up to $3.2, so it has lost about $0.6 since that time. Okay, let's look at BOXD. BOXD Inc. up 18%, extending bullishly at various points, retracing below its 200-day moving average. So we had our target of 2.62 that has since been exceeded. See that we plotted this Fibonacci grid last week on Friday, the 24th. You can see that it has been exceeded, and it has reached at some point it reached 2.87, but that's not the highest. Just that 2.87 was reached just a few minutes into the open of this session. And then I think the highest is it has reached this session is $2.89. Let's see what are we. One in any case, our target has since been exceeded, but it is the way it is extending. It looks like it can sustain this momentum at least in this session. The stock doesn't seem to be going away. There isn't any news, so it is trading on momentum and interest somewhere for the stock. 57.74 million shares have crossed the tape back, I think, and see. I think yes, there's a relative amount of interest in the stock. It seems to be quite. It is quite liquid at the moment. There's some liquidity in the stock. It's attracting a lot of interest, I think. Yeah, there seems to be some. You can see the number of. You can see the volumes there: 12,000, 24,000, 16,000, 11,000, 16,000. This one here down here, 30 something thousand. Penny stock. People are quite keen on the stock. Optionable as well. Let's see the biggest gainer, the top movers. While we're there, we go back again and see if we can pay some more bills. Let's see so far the top gainers. The $2.50 calls. In terms of volume is also quite high, relatively high, 6,781. But it is the $5 calls that has gained, that has volume of 8,980, and it gained 66.67%. So it seems buyers are pricing a move to $5. So let's return and see, look at this chart and see what's going on here with the BOXD. So let us take this high of okay, let's take this high of 2.89 and 2.73, 2.89 plus 0.16 multiplied by 2.618, add that to the current price of 2.715. We have target of 3.13 for BOXD. Okay, let us plot a Fibonacci grid here, and we will see what's going to happen. At least it will give us the various supports. Oh, sorry, we already have a grid, so sorry about that. Ooh. We're messing things up here. Okay. Deleted them. Alright, our last initial target before we had a 2.63. Yes, it's still there. So our new target is a 3.134 boxed. Will it get there? Is it a bit ambitious? Okay, next one is EPZM. EPZM up 55.14%. Nothing much going on. Momentum is holding up regardless. So to our RSI. There must be some news. I think there must be some acquisition news there. Volume is 26.582 million shares. Okay, let's look at AXSM. AXSM. AXSM Therapeutics has gained 43.58%. AXSM Therapeutics said in a regulatory filing today that it has received proposed labeling from the US FDA for its AX-05 product candidate in connection with a new drug application to treat major depressive disorders. The company said it is reviewing the FDA's proposed labeling and will apply to the regulator to obtain a final labeling agreement. Okay. $14.069 million shares crossed the tape. It's optionable as well. So buyers are pricing a move to, okay, has already crossed that. Has already crossed $30. So far, there isn't a growing interest for this 3750 calls. Okay. IFRX, IFRX, and V. Okay, extending bullishly. Angle of attack looks quite steep, but it is has ensured that at various times it fell below its 50-minute moving average, but has always come up again. So right now it's just facing the resistance from that moving average at the moment. Let's see whether there's any news concerning influx. There isn't any news. Volume is 1.2 to 1 million shares, not so heavy as such. Okay, let's see whether we can get a target for influx. Let's take 1.09 and 1.07. that will give us a difference of 0.02 multiplied by 2.618. Add that to the current price of 1.07. we have a target of 1.12. Has it not reached there already? Hasn't reached there. 1.12 for influx and V. IFRX. Okay, let's look at CLNN, not CL. Cleaning, also extending steeply and bullishly. Angle of attack, quite a steep one, but it has ensured that it keeps on feeding on itself. Is this the highest it has reached? Not really, I don't think so. 4.05. Pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same. So it's it has a resistance there, 4.05 so far. 4.05. So it has broken that resistance. It's at 4.09. Cleaning. What's behind this spike? Clean to participate in panel discussion about innovations in AELS. Okay, presented by Magazine Group. So two companies concerning AELS today. Yes, ALS is something about sclerosis. So we have two companies in that regard that are AXSM and CLNN. So again, it has gained a 40.3, roughly 40%. Where are they pricing? It's at 2.5. Are they pricing any move to $5? Yes, they are pricing a move, even though it hasn't gained the most, but we can see the volumes are there. People are gradually putting their money there. But a lot of money has gone in there. I think the reason why we also have this huge 203% on the 250 is because, in terms of gains, is because it's not that liquid. The participation is quite small, so that may have caused it to spike that much. So that's return. It looks interesting. It's the momentum is very strong. They're very strong on the CLNN. Let's see whether we can determine a target. Let's take this, what it has done before already, 4.05, 4.06 roughly, and 3.7, 4.05 and 3.7. That will give us a difference of 0.35 multiplied by 2.618. Add that to current price of 4.085. we have a target of $5. Yes, and that also coincides with what option traders are looking at. They're looking at $5 calls for the 15th of July as their next target. They're pricing a move to $5 for CLNN, CLNN. Let's plot a Fibonacci grid here and taking this high. Bring it all the way down here. So our target is $5. Let's see how things pan out. We come back again to see whether we can pay some more bills. So CLNN is at 4.1 now. We have a target of $5. Okay, we are going to sign up for this session. We're going to come back later on, and thank you very much for joining this live session.